Shining, a little bit cloudy. The drivers just moving off on their initial formation lap. Well, those of you tuned in online, you can see Harry Webb's name at the back of the grid. I have to tell you, Harry will not be there because sadly Harry picked up a judicial decision that went against him in the pre-final, and I'm afraid that meant that Harry is not able to take his place in the final. It would have been bad enough if he'd have had to start on the very, very back row. He doesn't even get that opportunity. 16 laps the race distance for the seniors, and Kyle Fowley and Philip Maureen leading them round. Well, who's going to win this one? What do you say? The world number one is on the inside of row 2. The guy with the most championship points coming into this event is on the front row, on the outside, Philip Maureen. The best debut season in seniors for a newcomer, Kyle Fowley. I say for a newcomer because Harry Webb's had a great debut season in seniors, but of course he stepped up from juniors with us. Michael Cool driving like the best of Michael Cool of 6 or 7 years ago. Martin Henkel Mortensen never far away from the action. Nicola Pico, one of our best French drivers. Charlie Turner, a revelation at times. Peter Betzel and Jan Jonk completing the top 10. Jan Jonk having had to do it the hard way via the last chance race this morning. That seems a long time ago now. Those of you tuned in online, you're familiar with the geography now. The exit from the circuit, denoted by that arrow, is of course where they would sweep round for the final turn. Well, once again, I make my little silly comment about they won't be told that this is too quick, will they? This approach speed is not at all too speedy. I don't want to make light of it. It must be an anxious moment, particularly for the pole sitter. Good as Kyle Fowley is, at this level, he hasn't had too many pole situations in a final of major note. Had written in Karting magazine, coming from a hot spot of Great Britain now, the northeast of Scotland, producing some really, really good drivers. Finlay Hutchinson, another one from that neck of the woods, been racing with us. But Kyle Fowley putting his kart on pole position for the senior final. Here we go. And Fowley gets a good start, and Philip Maureen very, very sensible driving from the off-pole position, but it's not got him a great dividend. I think he's going to emerge fourth in this one, and just does so. So Kyle Fowley, Charlie Eastwood, Luke Varley, and then we see the blue-suited Philip Maureen in fourth place. And Luke Varley already in third place, contemplating a gap of half a dozen lengths from himself in third to the second place driver Charlie Eastwood, because Charlie Eastwood immediately tracking down the poleman Kyle Fowley. We often see in the early stages that the poleman kicks out a 6-kart length to his advantage. Well, Kyle Fowley would have liked to have done that. Charlie Eastwood was saying, no mate, I'm the world number one, and when you're the world number one, you just don't let that sort of thing happen. Luke Varley coming under pressure from Philip Maureen, but drives a nice hairpin on the opening lap such that Philip Maureen can't find a route past. Charlie Eastwood not going to try to attack the pole sitter Kyle Fowley at this stage as they sweep round onto the second of their 16 laps, but the front two running away a little bit from 3 and 4, and Philip Maureen goes from 4th to 3rd, and that at the expense of Luke Varley. So Luke Varley's good start was a good start, but it's only got him in 4th place at the moment, as Philip Maureen now needs to contemplate a good dozen to 15 lengths in front of himself to the second place Charlie Eastwood and leader Kyle Fowley.
Yeah, in 5th place, Martin Henkel Mortensen. Nicolas Pico in 6th position as the leading French driver at the moment. Right behind him, then you've got Charlie Turner, number 260, in 7th position. Betzelli's 8th. Jan Jonk, who came through from the Second Chance race, in 9th. Michael Kuhl, who's been up there all the way through, in 10th. Ed Brand has made good progress already in this race from 16th to 12th. So he's picked up 4 places last year's runner-up. He's a bit too far out of it, we think, to win the title now. But he... he's certainly one that can gun for the podium here. He's been very quick all weekend, had a problem in the pre-final, and watch for the 202 kart to come through. But Carl Fowley, having had his first ever podium in the Euro Challenge and his 3rd ever round in the Euro Challenge, he's now looking for his first win in only his 4th Euro Challenge meeting. So Carl Fowley leading the way, but who should be right behind him but the world champion and the current Euro Challenge leader coming into this meeting with a few points spare. But Carl Fowley's trying to beat him fair and square for the title. It's a big ask in his Charlie to be dropping further back for it to go his way, Carl Fowley, and Charlie will know that he doesn't need to go and win this race to win the championship title. He's got lots of experience these days, Charlie, and he'll know exactly what he needs to do. And as has already been demonstrated by Conor Hall in Strawberry Racing, they've got the spreadsheets out, they worked out the maths specifically, and they'll know exactly what he needs to do. So into the hairpin at turn 13 they go, nose to tail, but with no sign of any overtaking as yet. Philip Morini's trying to lead the next group of karts onto their tail. And he might do it. He might be a little bit quicker than the top 2.
Just a shade quicker, I think he was, because he's not as slow as that before. Oh, no, I'm wrong.
They're the same, aren't they?
No, he was not as quick.
Yeah, it's within a few hundredths of a second of each other.
And there's the move.
3rd. Yeah, loses to 3rd to Luke Varley. So back into the podium positions goes
and Nicolas Pico and Henkel Mortensen trading places just behind them, weren't they, in 5th and 6th?
That's right. So that quartet now, the next quartet through, you shot on screens through the chicane, are 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, having a look at each other. The carts jostle and weave and dive and duck around at the end of the straight, but nobody finds a gap and nobody makes a move. And further back, Ed Brandy's up into the top 10 now, so he's gained 6 places in the first couple of laps of this race. And he's going great guns. And Pierce Lehane's another one to watch coming from near the back, isn't he? Number 231, involved in that incident with Harry Webb in the pre-final. Webb and Roper disqualified, so they're not allowed to take the start of the race. But Lehane was not disqualified for his part in that, and has come from the back up to 18th place now, the Australian. And Connor Jupp up to 20th position from the back of the grid.
Gosh,
so those
yes.
two are well worth watching in what's a fairly long race at 16 laps.
Yeah, Connor Jupp is showing that he's willing to do it the hard way, isn't he? And Pierce Lehane, as you say, in 17th place now. Have to believe that he's an Aussie on a mission. I'll show you. I can't win the championship. I can't win this, but I'll show you that I'm better than you think I am. Have to say that Pierce Lehane is a driver, been on the World Challenge Grand Finals podium on 2 occasions that I recall. May even have been a 3rd. No, I think it was 2, but that, of course, in the junior class. Well, Kyle Fowley and Charlie Eastwood from interesting backgrounds, if you will, coming into this, because Kyle Fowley not in a position to make a really, really significant improvement on where he is, but Charlie doesn't need to. He's already got his ticket to the Rotax World Challenge Grand Finals, won that as early as the spring this year by virtue of winning the Florida Winter Tour, and kart 267 is Michael Kuhl. What a such an unfortunate end to a great performance by the Belgian. He was lying handily placed. It's all gone wrong on lap 6.
Life's cruel, isn't it? He's had a fabulous weekend. Friday, great. Saturday, great. Most of Sunday, great. But he'll get nothing because this race, not great. It's gone wrong. So Michael Kuhl really sad out of the race after his best performance of the year by a long, long way. So Carl Fowley leads the way, 2 tenths clear of Charlie Eastwood. Charlie's on course for the title, though, and he'll be no rush to get ahead of Carl Fowley. That's good news for Carl in a way, because it's going to assist him. There's no Charlie normally in a race. If we weren't thinking about points, he's not the sort of driver that's going to just sit there in second and be happy with second place. So this is good news for Carl in that sense, not necessarily in the sense for the overall championship, but it was a bit of a long shot anyway for Carl, and he'll be looking for the win. Chris,
I absolutely agree with what you've said 100%, and yet Charlie could say, hang on you guys, who's the guy who's gone quickest in the race?
Just to show you all how quick I am.
And now Carl Fowley says, no, actually Charlie, it's me. Kyle Fowley posts the quickest, having just bettered Charlie Eastwood's on that last lap.
Right, that Philip Marine has slipped back down the order a bit. He's in 5th place now. So Varley and then Pico got ahead of him on the previous lap. Martin Henkel-Mortensen, the green and white Tony Kart colours and the orange helmet at the back of that quartet. Look, he's on his tail now. Philip Marine with a chance of the title, but with work to do. He needs to really try and go out and win this race and hope that Charlie Eastwood falls back. So Philip Marine is struggling a bit at this stage of the race in terms of the overall, the bigger picture, and having to fight really hard to keep Martin Henkel-Mortensen behind him. Up to 8th place now, behind Petra Betzel has come Ed Brand. So Ed having a great weekend, a bit like Michael Cool really, and 4/5 of it has been great, and he went wrong in the pre-final for him. He went wrong in the final for Michael Cool, but Ed still got a chance of a decent result here, and the intrepid driver is catching up. He must be the quickest man on the track, mustn't he? 102.4, not quite as quick as the 2 leaders, but quicker than everybody else in front of him.
Yes, it only takes Fowley and Eastwood to go quicker in the 102.3s on that particular lap. Have to say, of all the...
change for third there. Change for third place down at the first corner.
So Pico and Varley was that?
Yeah, Pico ahead of Varley now.
I was just going to say a few moments ago that Nicola Pico doesn't stand in my mind's eye as a Frenchman likely to win the round, but he does stand in my mind's eye as a Frenchman who's very solid and consistent. And, oh gosh, we've just said the same of Michael Cool and Ed Brand, haven't we? Hope nothing goes wrong for Nicola Pico, although he did have his misfortune, didn't he, earlier on, and still fighting back from it. In 3rd place in a championship position, in a podium position on lap 8 of a 16-lap senior final. So maybe the Frenchman can get some home glory in this one. Meantime, up front, you've guessed it, Kyle Fowley is trotting round in the lead, followed by the watchful Charlie Eastwood. This is the start of lap 9.
Okay, so we are into the second half of the race. Charlie Eastwood is shadowing the every move of Kyle Fowley. Closes up to him on the brakes, gets as close as he can. Look at the battle for 3rd place. They're almost taking into the gravel there. And it's Varley that's got through. Varley back through to the head of that group. And back ahead of Pico, who's bumped back down to 4th place. This is a battle as well, don't forget, for a podium place, for a trophy at the end of the day. So a big, important battle going on there for 3rd position between Varley, Pico, Morin and Henkel-Mortensen. Betzel is about a second behind them. And then Ed Brand in 8th place is a further 4/10 back. So they could join this queue pretty quickly, I reckon. And then we'll have a real humdinger of a fight for the 3rd and final place on the podium. Meanwhile, 2/10 at most is the gap between the top two. Sometimes it's less than that. And 3rd, 4th and 5th coming in now. Definitely Petra Betzel, number 214 and number 208, 202, Ed Brand are reeling them in. Jan Jong up to 9th place. Ludovic Marine up into 10th position. Piers Lehane from the back is up to 14th place now. And Connor Jupp from the back is up to 16th position.
Well, everything that we tell you from the commentary box is unofficial. Hopefully everything we tell you isn't a load of rubbish, but it is unofficial. However, Jill is a little bit more adept at numbers than Chris claims, and certainly more than I claim. She thinks that if the checkered flag came out now, Charlie Eastwood would have 248 championship points, Kyle Fowley 244 championship points, and Philip Marine 238 championship points. Therefore, Kyle Fowley and Charlie Eastwood, being where they are, if you will, exactly where they want to be. This is lap 10, about to be completed in a 16-lap final. Not a lot further to go, but there's a heck of a long way behind Charlie Eastwood in 2nd place and the chasing pack 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. Luke Varley put himself about a little bit, making himself available for that 3rd podium slot. But Nicola Pico fighting back. That was a tremendously aggressive turn 1. I don't mean aggressive in the sense of attempting to make any contact, just drove it really fiercely. And Luke Varley, I often say this in commentary, you can't fault Luke Varley. He really didn't do anything wrong there, but Nicola Pico had simply said, I've got the bit between my teeth, I'm going for it, and he executed it. But Luke Varley's message immediately is, no, this is for the last podium step, and I want it. Luke Varley giving his best performance of the season, and Nicola Pico in front of him giving all of us a great battle for 3rd and 4th. Coming to the end of lap 11.
Luke Varley out of the top 20 in the championship before this weekend. Doesn't really reflect what a quick driver he is. He's had, like a lot of people out there, bad luck. tales of woe, etc. But this shows what he can do, all things being equal, and he's gunning for a podium. And Luke Varley is doing very well, but Nicola Pico has the place at the moment, but only by a few tenths. Uniform driving at the top of the field. There looks to be no attempt to block and defend from Kyle Fowley. There looks to be no attempt to go for anything silly from Charlie Eastwood. And this looks like a case of the team knowing what they need to do, getting both their drivers home. And as Jill said on the maths, we worked out and dropped scores, it should be that these end up as the top two in the championship, but the other way around, with the race winner being second in the championship. Well, you'd have bitten your hand off at the start of the season, I reckon, if you told him that, especially after the pre-final. Again, he'd had such a good day. He scored basically no points or hardly any points from the pre-final, down in the dumps. And then what did he do? He went and flew through the order up to 5th place and continued to have a great season from there on in. So what an achievement if he finishes second in his first season. Look at this.
It's still a hot battle, isn't it, for 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, because Luke Varley having got back in front of Nicola Pico, and worse for the Frenchman, Philippe Maureen, saying, hey, I really ought to wake myself up and I ought to be a little bit further forward. They go through to start lap 13. In 3rd place, Luke Varley. 4th, Nicola Pico. 5th, Philippe Maureen. 6th, Henkel Mortensen. And is that a change? Not quite. Well, does Ed Brand get past? Yes, he does. Ed Brand gains a place. No, he doesn't. No, as you were. Henkel Mortensen 6th. Ed Brand in 7th place. Good little scrap behind them, and we ought to mention Peter Betzel because he's on there in that battle. And to complete the top 10 just behind them, Jan Jonk in 9th, holding off Glenn Paris in 10th. And once again, we make mention of the Aussie, Pierce Lehane, who had to start in 30th place. Drove himself, and Chris.
On the screen there, a move from Ed Brand, I think it was, he's got through on Henkel Mortensen. Has he done it? Yes, he has, and Petra Betzel followed him through. So Henkel Mortensen drops to 8th, Ed Brand up to 6th, Petra Betzel up to 7th. They both move ahead of the Dane, who's had a super solid season this year. Kyle Fowley leads the race, 13 laps gone, 3 to go. Can Kyle Fowley win in his first season in the Rotax Euro Challenge? Can Charlie Eastwood sit where he is and win the championship? Odds on, look, yes, is the answer to me. Unless something huge happens, they look very, very comfortable. And to me, it's about this battle for 3rd place in the race now. And Luke Varley has the position. And for the first time, he's broken clear by a couple of kart lengths as they go through turn 6 and down towards turn 7, the right-hander. He's just edged away from Pico. There are the top two. Fowley leads. Eastwood shadowing him, but not attempting to get past in 2nd position. Big gap, big wait then till 3rd place, Luke Varley. Pico in 4th in the blue colours then, Ludwig Maureen. And that was Ed Brand trying to move as well. We've got Betzel queuing up behind him. So those having a big battle. And Martin Henkel Mortensen has split them. So Martin Henkel Mortensen made the move on Petra Betzel and has split them. So he gains a place back. So third is Varley, 4th is Pico, 5th is Maureen, 6th is Brand. And Henkel Mortensen gets back up to 7th on the way out of the hairpin. So Betzel back to 8th, back to where he started. 2 laps to go, Ken.
2 laps to go, and it's almost like a record, isn't it? Kyle Fowley in a very comfortable 1st place, not trying to make any dramatic defensive moves. He doesn't need to. Charlie Eastwood in a very comfortable 2nd place, not making any dramatic attacking moves. He doesn't need to. But behind him, quite a bit of action. But Luke Varley, as Chris said, now getting the first hint of a significant cushion. 0.3 of a second advantage over the Frenchman Nicola Pico in 4th place. Philippe Maureen must be feeling overall disappointed, coming into this event with as good a shout as anybody and starting the final on the front row, albeit in the off-pole position. But the Swede will be feeling inside that 5th place in the final was not what I expected and not what was the best I could have done. But let's give the credit where it's due at the front, because starting their last lap, Kyle Fowley from Scotland leading Charlie Eastwood from Northern Ireland.
So through they go to start his last lap. In 3rd place now, Luke Varley. In 4th position, Nicola Pico having a look up the inside, though, for the final place of the podium. Gets halfway alongside, then running wide is Luke Varley onto the gravel. 2 wheels, back onto the track, loses the place. Down to 4th is Varley. Behind him in 5th place, Philippe Maureen. They go down now out of turn 4 for the final time through turns 5 and 6 at the chicane. Thudding the curbs there, Luke Varley in 3rd position. The 2 leaders still in order, no changes there. And this 3rd place tussle, a really great battle that we got here. Philippe Maureen on the tail of it as well. And it's gone back through Luke Volley, but he runs wide on the way through turn 9, loses another place to Philip Marine, and he's dropped to 5th place now. Meanwhile, coming into the penultimate corner, Kyle Fowley is almost home and dry here. He's got one more corner to go. Charlie Eastwood almost home and dry in terms of the championship. They're both going to celebrate as the checkered flag comes out and the race finishes here. Through they go, job done. What about 3rd place? Pico is there, breathing down his neck. Is Philip Marine. Luke Varley trying to get alongside. It's going to be Pico clenching his fist in 3rd place. Marine just hangs on to 4th. And Luke Varley in 5th place. Ed Brand in 6th position. Henkel Mortensen 7th. Betzel in 8th. Van Paris 9th. Jan Jonk 10th. And a super drive from Piers Lehane from 30th on the grid. He finishes in 11th place. And also a very strong drive from Connor Jupp from 28th.
Jack Weprin also from 32nd to 16th. Like those guys have had, they've shown their mettle in the final, haven't they? All 3 of those. Well, I have to say, if it was a little bit bland in positions 1 and 2, because no criticism, the guys, the Scot and the Irishman, didn't need to do any more. But if ever a guy said, I am going for that final step of the podium, Nicola Pico meant it for real. And his gesture at the end said, yes, that's what I was gunning for, and I've got it. So well done to him. Félicitations, Nicolas Pico, en 3e place. Philip Marine, gonna be disappointed with 4th. Luke Varley, I think, will be disappointed with 5th, because I think he did feel that 3rd place was within his grasp. Ed Brand, a difficult weekend after the hospitalisation of the previous weekend, of their very creditable 6th. Martin Henkel Mortensen, the Dane, never been out of the top half dozen or so at some stage of every race this season, coming home 7th there. Peter Betzel in 8th place, Glenn Van Paris 9th, and Jan Jonk getting 10th place in the top 10 in the final, having had to negotiate the last chance race this morning, in which he did not start in a qualifying position. Piers Lehane in 11th place, Charlie Turner 12th, Connor Jupp 13th, Ludwig Marine 14th, Oliver Norris 15th, Jack Weprin 16th, Antoine Lepeceur 17th, Tobias Home 18th, Xavier Pozzoli 19th, and completing the top 20, it was cart number 323, Lucas Blaskowski of France. Well, just a little disappointment, I'm going to say, on behalf of the home fans. Eva Benez drove a brilliant event. Sadly, she didn't make the top 20 in the final. She finished 22nd. And the new French champion, Jules Cousin, he got on the wrong side of the officials on occasion, and in the final only came home 23rd. On the other hand, Kevin Petit from the back row drove up to 25th, a little bit better. Okay, Chris is getting down there. He's talking to the guys who have just done the business. Let's go down to him.
Thanks very much indeed, Ken. Here are 2 happy men, I suspect. Charlie Eastwood, was that, after he got through the first lap, was that as comfortable as it looked?
Yeah, once I looked behind and saw we had a gap, we already had the plan that I would just follow Kyle the whole way home, and I've came out being European champion, and he's came 2nd, so it's good.
You got the job done. You got the job done earlier, really, didn't you, with the pre-final?
Yeah, the unfortunate luck for Harry Webb sort of made me sort of in the lead of all the points, and just had a comfortable result, and I did. So, champion.
I've had lots of tweets today from Natalie back home. I think about 4 of your nieces tweeting, all watching you, so they'll be jumping for joy, Charlie.
Yeah, a lot of people are watching from home, so thanks for everyone who supported me, Strawberry Racing, all my family, and Paul Spencer.
Yeah, it's been a huge team effort, hasn't it? You put so much work into this, don't you? It's not just racing.